So, welcome to some sort of concert that I'm gonna sing. I like writing songs about trains for my YouTube channel DecoPunk1927, and normally I record it in the privacy of my house, but today I'm going to perform some of my songs live. So, my first song is going to be The Birthday on the GLX. It's a parody of Charlie on the MTA, and it's about the true story of what happened to me when I rode the very first train of the Green Line extension, which opened on my birthday. Ladies, non-binaries, and gentlemen, hear me out. This once happened to me. Oh, let me tell you of the story of the man named Evan. It was my big 18th birthday. I got up extremely early, said hi to the Discord, and got dressed to ride the new subway. Mom drove me down to the Edford/station to arrive there at 4:30. Sure, I knew there'd be a crowd, but I wasn't expecting over 200 at the door. Oh, one thing never returned, my phone never returned, 'cause the motherboard was burned. It is only a memory 'neath the streets of Boston of the milestone in life I earned. I said to the reporter, what better present for a lifelong T-fan than brand new trains? We all crowded down the stairs and crush-loaded the platform like sports fans. We could not be contained. On the first train, all the passengers found it was my birthday and sang to me. Most got off at North, but I wanted to ride the full round trip of Dunue Extended T. Oh, one thing never returned, my phone never returned, 'cause the motherboard was burned. It is only a memory 'neath the streets of Boston of the milestone in life I earned. I was taking a selfie just by Copley Station when abruptly my screen went black. So I cried out, what the hell? And I tried to turn it back on, but I'd never get my footage back. Phoneless I rode, and the first round-trip Green Line train went to a short turn at Park. Our plan was to go to Ball, but how could I coordinate with communications dark? Oh, one thing never returned, my phone never returned, 'cause the motherboard was burned. It is only a memory 'neath the streets of Boston of the milestone in life I earned. At Ball Square I got pins and went to cross the road, and I saw Miles and his entourage. I went up and shook his hand, said, wow, a celebrity, I'm such a huge fan of your blog. At Kelly's Diner, Jules lent me his phone to let my mom know I was okay. She put his contact as helpful, and then I went to school, but I was really tired that day. But one thing never returned, my phone never returned, 'cause the motherboard was burned. It is only a memory 'neath the streets of Boston of the milestone in life I earned. Oh, one thing never returned, my phone never returned, 'cause the motherboard was burned. It is only a memory 'neath the streets of Boston of the milestone in life I earned. Okay, all right. My second song. I wrote this dedicated to the old Orange Line subway cars. They were scrapped without proper goodbye. I'm like the part of the MBTA, recounting tales and song of bygone days. But now a type of train us fans respect is being scrapped and shown naught but neglect. The orange blossoms served for 40 years, and yes, they reached the end of their careers. But what's unfair is none will be preserved. They didn't get the send-off they deserved. The Hawker Siddeley main line 1200s, for decades down the orange line they thundered. We won't forget the trains that came before us, so join me fellow rail fans for this chorus. Oh, these old orange trains of which we sing, they're gone no more, we'll hear their door chimes ring. Within their storied forward paneling, there's only now the memories they bring. They're charmed despite asbestos floors and rust, and tending to spontaneously combust was one of their endearing qualities, a last time capsule from the 70s. Began the end for Hawker's heritage when 51 caught fire or Mystic Bridge. We shut down, we took our final ride. That night the elevated finally died. R.I.P. Orange Blossoms, we loved you. From 1980, 2022. We won't forget the trains that came before us, so join me fellow rail fans for this chorus. Oh, these old orange trains of which we sing, they're gone no more, we'll hear their door chimes ring. Within their storied forward paneling, there's only now the memories they bring. Farewell. Thank you. Let's see if I remember the next song. I wrote this at least a year ago, I think, almost a year ago. So, I make a series on my YouTube channel called Reviews Regarding Rail and Restaurants, where I ride some trains and then I eat at a restaurant. And it started out as filming 5 episodes on my trip to Australia last year. On my last day of the trip, though I had a cold, I decided it would be a good idea to take the Blue Mountains line up to Katoomba, which is a town famous for its scenic lookout. Of course, it was a very rainy and foggy day, so it was not a very fun day trip. And I tried to explain in the video what was going to happen to the old trains in Sydney as they were replaced with a new fleet, but it was very unclear in the recordings, so that's why I wrote this song, to explain it better. My first recordings weren't strong, so I hope you enjoy my song, ladies, non-binaries, and gentlemen. Sydney's V-sets are a favorite train of mine. They fit the clearance on Blue Mountains line. I went out to Katoomba on my last day in Australia. When I had a cold, I wasn't feeling fine, for I knew they would be gone next time I went. In fact, I glimpsed their new red replacement. My rainy day trip I regret, and new train several lines will get into the scrapyard. V-sets will be sent, 'cause they're gonna do the rolling stock shuffle. I tried to explain it before, but I was muffled. The V's and K's retiring and the Oscars reassigning, when next year they'll do the rolling stock shuffle. And the K-sets run on some suburban service. The walk between them can make people nervous. But Metro go to Bankstown and the Oscars will be handed down in Sydney area. Rail fans will observe this. And the Marions are not without their flaws. They'll enter service 2024. They'll boot the Oscars from the South Coast to where they are needed most. They won't be V&K sets anymore. And the Sydney Metro City and Southwest is taking over T3 for the best. By leaving City Circle to run in its own tunnel, the capacity will increase on the rest. So I hope you all enjoyed the 5-part series. Please ask in comments clarifying queries. My Aussie trip, I sure went far to film the RRR and R, but now I'll just go back to Zelda's theories. I thank you all for listening to my tale. Reviews regarding restaurants and rail. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe and like so that I know. Please absolutely smash them like a nail. And that's how it went in the video. Next song. Very recent song. Most recent song I wrote, I think. Another audience member leaves.
Thank you, that was really good.
Next song is called Amboat. It's about ferries. Technically steamships is what I'm describing, but that doesn't rhyme with estuaries. Ladies, non-binaries, and gentlemen, are you guys hearing this? Most coastal cities don't consider ferries very serious. All settlements with access to a water body navigable ought to see a ferry's practicality and have a couple. Every river, harbor, estuary, lake, and sea should have a ferry. A candidate who'd do this has my vote. Nationalizing ferries ought to be like Amtrak on the water. All aboard Amboat. It's thinking one-dimensional to only drive around the shore when sailing straight across the water often will arrive before. Admittedly, it's common for a boat to travel to an island, but what I'm imagining is duplicating routes on dry land. Every river, harbor, estuary, lake, and sea should have a ferry. A candidate who'd do this has my vote. Nationalizing ferries ought to be like Amtrak on the water. All aboard Amboat. Because its fun is probably not sufficient to acquire funding for a pair of piers and high-speed ferries justified by nothing. Scenic rides to Boston would be simplified if from New London ran a boat to Providence with transfers tied to trains at both ends. Every river, harbor, estuary, lake, and sea should have a ferry. A candidate who'd do this has my vote. Nationalizing ferries ought to be like Amtrak on the water. All aboard Amboat. Though why write this maritime verse? Now's not the right time to complain. A better priority first is nationalizing the train. Imagine how cool it would be to travel long distance by sea. Oh, nationalizing the ferries would benefit me. Every river, harbor, estuary, lake, and sea should have a ferry. A candidate who'd do this has my vote. Nationalizing ferries ought to be like Amtrak on the water. All aboard Amboat. Oh, all aboard Amboat, boat.
It's 4:30 now.
Okay, and my voice is getting hoarse anyways. You'll never hear the last 3 songs from me. How about that?
Oh well.
Oh well. My voice is getting hoarse anyways. Thank you for staying with some sort of concert.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.